Hello everybody, it's Merlin here, and I'm actually going to do something kind of unique today. I'm actually going to do a response to a video that another YouTuber did. That YouTuber, that content uploader, whatever the term may be, is BobSamurai. Now, some of you people may know him in the anime community. He's actually one of the bigger reviewers and vloggers regarding anime on YouTube. And he's a pretty nice guy. He's pretty knowledgeable. He makes some pretty good videos. I actually like him. I don't watch him all the time, but, I'm subscribed to him, so that's how I found out about this. So, I can't really say I have any ill will or anything towards the guy. But he actually posted a video that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I guess I'll leave a link in the description below, but basically it was about the Dragon Ball fandom and just letting it go. It was kind of a response to the news that there'll be a new Dragon Ball anime series continuation that'll be coming out soon. And personally, I thought that's awesome. And this is partially a reaction to that. I'm happy about that. I think it's cool. But in the video, he basically talks about how the fans just need to let it go because there are other series that are just significantly better. And Dragon Ball is purely a cash cow now, and we should just stop it. And he compared it to other series over here with similar popularity like Transformers. And I'll be honest, I think that he did make some legitimate points. I mean, he compared the series to Naruto, for instance, and he said that you shouldn't be so narrow-minded in viewing one particular series. You should expand your horizons, watching a lot of other anime series and getting some diversity. Of course, I always encourage that. Now, as you guys that watch my channel know, I've watched a lot of anime series. I'm a big fan of various anime series, old and new, and Dragon Ball is one of my favorite series, absolutely, but it's not the only series that I like. I have a pretty wide view of various perspectives on different types of series. I mean, I did my top 20 anime series, and you saw there's a wide variety of different types of anime on there, very much like anything else that I like. I don't like one of the same things. Now, I think that BobSamurai might have been kind of referring to some fans that maybe just like Dragon Ball or things that are similar to it, maybe just sticking to Naruto, One Piece, stuff that kind of follows that formula. Yes, he's right. Obviously, Dragon Ball laid the groundwork and the foundation for those other series, and I do agree. Yes, you guys might not like it, but it's true. Naruto did excel in world building and character development in some areas, in some specific areas, more so than Dragon Ball. It's true. But he almost seemed to imply that Dragon Ball shouldn't get any new material and that the series did not grow beyond the first 50 episodes or so, and that's just not growing with the audience, and that Vegeta didn't have any character development, and that it didn't really have any world building or character development once they got to Z because of the various energy blasts. He said it was very repetitive. There are elements of truth to that, of course. Dragon Ball, and especially once you get to Z, it does have some problems. But if you look at the manga, a lot of those issues are kind of removed in regards to filler and just kind of spacing things out more with padding. Yes, and some of the general plots, they are fairly bare bones. Yes, I mean, it's not the most groundbreaking, but as you guys know, when I started this channel, one of my primary focuses was on character analysis. It still is, but primarily on the Dragon Ball characters. I might even do some more of them to kind of revamp them, because some of the older videos are, pretty amateurish. Or some of my first ones from the first year or so I was on here. But despite that, I mean, as you guys can tell, even without reading too much into it, some of these characters do undergo some decent development. One actually example he had saying that it was more of a cash cow and just bringing out new stuff to make money purely instead of because it just refuses to develop. Yes, it's true. Gohan was not allowed to develop in the way that Toriyama may have wanted him to because the fans wanted Goku. Yes, that is an example of the fandom and the idea of making money interfering with the possible creativity of the writers and artists and whatnot. It's true. It's quite a possibility, and in fact that was kind of confirmed with the Buu Saga, one of the issues with it. However, in all honesty, Gohan's characterization was more about balance, and he did develop. He did develop. He actually did become the hero. He did fight major villains, and he balanced that with his desire to be a student and to be a scholar and to help other people that way and develop himself and his education. He was able to find that balance. So Gohan's character was very well developed. Could it have been developed even more? Possibly. Absolutely. But the point is this. Just because the character did not take on the reins of his father to be the main hero and defeat the big boss does not mean his character did not develop. It might not have developed in the standard way that shonen action martial arts series typically do. You know, development being just getting stronger and more skilled and more powerful. Yes, this is a factor, but as we've seen in other series like One Piece, like Hunter x Hunter, it's not necessarily limited to that. Certain characters don't have to raise their power levels simply to gain character development. That's not simply equated to character development. It's also about personal growth in other areas. Now, that's an example of what happened with Gohan. Yes, he wasn't the ultimate main, most powerful character at the end, but he still had some of the best character development in the series. And I've always argued that, yes, the strongest writing of Dragon Ball was in the earlier chapters, but actually, as the series went on, because the audience matured, so did the story. It got more serious. It got more action-based. It got more adult. It didn't explore all the deepest themes. It wasn't the most complicated story. It didn't have the most established world. But there were still some very interesting ideas and characterizations in there. That's one of the reasons we love them. It's not purely because of action. Now, yes, it is nostalgically a very important series to me and other people. And like I said, I agree with BobSamurai that you should expand your horizons if you haven't. But it doesn't mean that you should completely look at a series in a subjective way. I have this suspicion that BobSamurai might not have actually watched Dragon Ball that much recently, because his comments sounded like something that somebody that might have been a fan of Dragon Ball but hadn't really looked into it too in depth would have said 5 or 10 years ago. Seriously, I mean, it just sounds like something that you would have heard years ago. Nowadays, people have an appreciation, understanding, and are re-exploring and rediscovering Dragon Ball. Yes, there is that nostalgia factor that is big, but that does not mean that we don't need new movies, that we don't need new series. Yes, it's obviously a way to make money, but they wouldn't be making money and trying to produce new things if the fans didn't want it. That's one of the most impressive things about Dragon Ball as a whole, in all honesty, is that lately, because of the resurgence over years and the persistence of people loving this series, even though it's been almost 20 years since a new Dragon Ball series, the movie's successful. If you make more stuff, the fans that have watched it and newer fans will get into it, like with the reintroduction of Dragon Ball Kai. I mean, really, if you looked at that, if you watched Dragon Ball Kai closer to the manga, it's honestly better in a lot of ways than the original cut of the series. I mean, you could debate that, but it's got less filler. It's got less padding. It's got better voice acting over here. You know, so I mean, you know, it's got a better script, and it actually demonstrates that these characters are a little more complicated than you might have thought of originally. Are they Shakespearean in nature? Not always, not necessarily, of course, but it just sounded like a very broad, generalized, and kind of uninformed statement that he made. And it kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. Like you're saying, the hardcore fans would realize it's just nostalgic attachment. You should just not want more things. If you're a fan of something, you're always going to want new things. Yes, Transformers or Ninja Turtles have reinvented themselves, some positively, some negatively. But the cool thing about Dragon Ball is it's a continuous series. Unlike with American comics, for instance, or films that constantly reboot things, Dragon Ball keeps going. I mean, you could argue whether or not it's necessary or not, the quality of it. We will wait and see. But the new movie offered some new ideas. I really think there's a lot more untapped potential for Dragon Ball that you could explore. Yes, people go to see the action. Yes, people go to see the fights, but people like the comedy. Did you see Battle of the Gods? There's so much of that old comedy. Actually, it was a lot similar to the early days of Dragon Ball that he liked. So I think Toriyama's going back to his base roots, more or less. So I don't know. I feel like BobSamurai's video, I don't know. I agreed with what he was trying to say to some degree, but I feel like he should have maybe thought about this a little more, maybe watched the series a little bit more, because I think that the general consensus in the YouTube anime community is a little bit different regarding Dragon Ball than it used to be. Maybe in general, for people that aren't big anime fans, it hasn't changed too much, but that's only one factor. That's only one particular group of people. So that was my reaction. I just felt like I had to say that. I still think BobSamurai, you know, nothing against him. He seems like a nice guy. And I really think he does make some good videos, some good points. He does have some good points in this video, but there were some things that just didn't sound quite accurate. I'm sure it made some people even angrier than it did me. You got to understand the other person's perspective, but you also got to take some other things into account. So please let me know what you guys thought about BobSamurai's video. What do you guys think about Dragon Ball, the franchise as a whole right now? You guys looking forward to the new series, the new movies? Should they just stop it? Do we just need the old stuff? I mean, I don't really see why anyone would want that. Do they stop making Power Rangers? Like, you know, whether or not you like it or not, they still make more. So I think that they're continuing a sequel is fine. You know, I mean, there's untapped potential. If people are still liking it, why not? But then again, maybe it'll ruin it and it'll be the end. So we'll see. All right, guys, this is Merlin here signing off. And as always, send in requests for other discussions. Peace. And subscribe to the Phantom Group if you have not.